Hey everybody, happy new moon in Capricorn. I'm so excited to be here. Sorry, my hair's a little crazy. I literally just walked into the door right at the time I was supposed to go live. So everything feels good. This is a really good new moon. And then I was like, oh crap, I created a YouTube live. I scheduled it, but then I was like, how do I actually start it? So luckily I figured it out. So if you're joining, my name is Megan Mermaid, and I am the creator and visionary artist of the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck. And I'm also a Gene Keys guide. And my purpose is supporting beings in connecting to their heart and their purpose and their creative genius through the magic of mermaid consciousness, which is a path to ascension that is based in beauty, bliss, and sovereign sensuality. So if you're joining us live, feel free to say hello and let us know where you're joining from. And let me, oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for your grace right now. I'm like, okay, so here's basically, I'm just going to give the spill, and then I think I'm going to edit all this beginning part out afterwards. It's a learning curve. But anyway, so what was happening is I was using this platform called StreamYard to go live. And there were two things I didn't like about it. First, I didn't like that it like flipped the camera, so it looked kind of weird. And then I also didn't like that it didn't have captions. I know one person mentioned, hey, Betsy, good to see you. One person mentioned last time that I went live that the captions weren't on. And then I tried to go back afterwards to see if I could add them, and it wasn't possible. So it should be set up for captions now, because I want to make sure that these messages are accessible to everybody. So again, it's been a learning curve trying to figure out how to do it through YouTube, but I think I got it. So let's talk about this new moon in Capricorn. First of all, it's really powerful because it is, hi, Nana from Denmark. Good to see you. Sorry, my nose is running. I don't know why my nose always runs like when I'm going live. It never does any other time. So anyway, we're taking care of all our human things, and then we can get into the message. So this new moon is on the 111 portal. And for anyone that knows about numerology or angel numbers, 1 is always the number of new beginnings. And 111 is, I read somewhere that, hi, Dawn from Oregon, good to see you, that 111 is almost like if you ever see 111 on a clock or on a license plate or on a billboard or a phone number, something like that, that it's almost like, pay attention. The universe is taking a snapshot of what you're thinking. So if you're thinking something and it manifested or materialized into reality, would you be okay with that thing? Would you be okay with that coming into form? So it's kind of like an opportunity to check ourselves and check our thoughts, right? And so when I was feeling into the energy of 2024 in general, it's really this energy of, the most important work that we can do this year is on our mind and on our mindset, because based upon what we're thinking, that's going to determine everything else. It's going to determine our emotions. It's going to determine what we're calling into being. It's going to determine how we're being of support to other people. So our thoughts are everything this year. And that's why in February, I'm going to be starting my live journey, Mermaid Mindset Makeover. And we're going to do a 40-day journey of kind of reclaiming our thoughts and diving deeper into how to begin to connect our mind with the mind of God. So today is kind of like a little sneak preview of that. So first of all, I just want to open the chat, and for all of you guys who are joining live, and if you're joining after, feel free to write in the comments and let us know what is your, oh my gosh, my nose is running so bad. Let me get a tissue. You know, it's just one of those things where sometimes our human like just has to help us to keep it really real so that we get out of our spiritual ego and we remember that like we're all equal on this human playing field and we all have human issues. So right now it's my nose. Hold on. Oh, I love human reality and all the things we have to deal with. It's been super cold here. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. and like it's been like 37 degrees in the morning. And I know for those of you guys that are in climates that are like normally really cold, you're probably like, oh, that's nothing. Like if Leah, if you're on here, she's in Michigan, and like I know it's like below zero, but oh my goodness, like we are not used to this wind chill and this cold out here. So my body is reacting. But yeah, so what I was sharing is that, Leah's laughing. So if you want to write in the live chat, or if you're watching later on the replay, let us know what your new moon intentions are. So first I want to take a step back and just talk about what the new moon is, why it's important, okay? So every new moon is the opportunity for us to reset and to kind of create an intention that will begin a journey that we go forward on throughout the month, throughout the 28-day lunar cycle. So step one is the new moon. We set our intentions, right? Then the next step is waxing moon. And waxing moon is sort of when we have that first moment that tests our commitment or our conviction to our intentions that we set on new moon. Full moon is kind of when we release whatever needs to be released. It's when the light of the moon is strongest. So it also gives us an opportunity to kind of see what may have been hidden from us, and we might get some sort of insight. It's also when we have the most energy. So then we move into waning moon, and waning moon, excuse me again, waning moon is the time that we integrate whatever lessons or whatever was revealed to us in full moon. And then dark moon, which is what we're at right now, it's the 3 days prior to the new moon. And I don't even think I shared, but the new moon tonight is going to be at about 4 a.m. Pacific time. I don't have the exact time, but around 4 a.m. So the 3-day period, the 72 hours before every new moon, is kind of this moment where we step back, and it's suggested, encouraged rather, to take a lot of time in introspection and really allow yourself to just be with everything that came up within that moon cycle. Kind of take it in, receive your pearls of wisdom, or whatever needs to come through, and then we start again with the next cycle. So what's really powerful about beginning to align with the cycles of the moon is that your rhythm is in harmony with the rhythm of the universe, right? So when we're in rhythm and harmony with the universe, we become in flow. Things become easier for us. And it's not like we're kind of pushing against the natural order of things. And in our society right now, it's common for us to be against the flow, against the natural order of things. For example, we just had the holiday season, and there's so much like hustle and bustle and events and everything. But when we think about what's happening with the seasons, especially if you're in the northern hemisphere and it's winter, it's a time where we're supposed to kind of go within and hibernate and slow down and pause. So we can kind of see how when we're trying to go against the natural order, it starts to create restlessness. It starts to create uneasiness. It starts to create just more stress in our lives. And so when we start to align with the moon, number one, you're going to feel more relaxed. You're going to feel more at ease. And it starts to become really fun because it's almost like you choose your own adventure every month, right? So that's why I've been offering mermaid moon readings, because the moon reading is just a really quick, easy reference. It's a 20-minute audio, and you get a card message for every cycle of the moon that will tell you how to kind of go through this moon cycle, being aware of what may come up for you and how to move through it successfully and gain those pearls of wisdom. So then instead of being fearful of life or trying to control it, we become empowered, and life becomes this fun adventure. It becomes this fun journey. So yay, 1010, Nana's sharing. I don't know what's going on with my nose. I apologize, you guys. Like, it's just one of those things. I feel like my life purpose, the city and the Gene Keys, is humility. So I feel like I'm just constantly being humbled by life so I don't get into my spiritual ego. And today my nose is humbling me by reminding me that I am just still a being like everybody else. And I have issues like everyone else. specifically my nose when I'm trying to record. But we're just going to keep moving because that's how we approach every situation, every struggle, every challenge. We just keep moving, just keep swimming, right? So that brings us to the new moon in Capricorn. So, what's so special about this new moon? First of all, when I looked it up, it was like such good energy. The moon is trine to Uranus, which means it's like Uranus can either be like a sweet surprise, like a delightful, unexpected, wow, flash of realization, some breakthrough moment. Or when it's in a challenging aspect, it could be like, oh my God, like just feeling like you're struck by lightning and like something just happens out of the blue that causes a disruption or a disturbance. So we're in the sweet surprise energy, but it's also kind of like a new way of looking at things. And it's interesting because, I've been a student of the Course in Miracles for several years, and I just started it again. And I'm on lesson 33. And so, lesson 33 today is let me actually get it because I want to make sure that I say it correctly. There's another way of looking at the world. So every day there's a different mantra that you meditate on and you say throughout the day. And I really love Course in Miracles because it's mindset work, which is so important this year. We have to transform and renew our mind because everything that's happening in the collective consciousness is starting in that mental body. So we have to connect with the mind of God. So Course in Miracles is one of many beautiful ways that we can do that. So this feels so perfect for the new moon. There's another way of looking at the world. And the practice in the workbook today was thinking about situations that, might be struggling, that you might be struggling with, or that you're unsure of, or have created like unease or worry or doubt. And you simply say, like, there's another way of looking at this situation. And I had that situation with my co-parent where there was like this situation that we had, and I was feeling a lot of like unease, is that a word, unease about it. And like I felt like I had to kind of be defensive about a certain thing, and I just kept saying that today in my meditation practice. There's another way of looking at this situation. There's another way of looking at this situation. And I ended up 5 minutes before this call, that's why I barely hopped on in time. I ended up having a conversation with his mother and talking about my concerns, and that conversation sparked all of these solutions that I hadn't even thought of because I was in such a space of defense and fear that it was blinding me in many ways from seeing that there could be a win-win situation in this particular moment. And so that's kind of the energy of the moon trine to Uranus, where we can kind of think about there's another way to look at this situation. So anything that has been causing you stress or worry or doubt. I mean, I've been talking to so many people lately because I teach fitness classes at all different locations, and I feel like I'm always having small talk, like little interactions with all sorts of people. And I've noticed this theme. And even like scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or different things like that, like so many people are struggling with something. There was a woman today, and she was talking about how her boyfriend has like a torn rotator cuff, and she's afraid that if he has surgery that he won't be able to work, and they just bought a new car. And then I was scrolling through TikTok, and someone had just shared that she lost her job and her husband lost her job, and there's other people that are dealing with health issues and all sorts of things. Like there's all sorts of things that all of us are kind of struggling with in some way or worried about. It's like that's where our work starts, right? And that's why in the Course in Miracles, it kind of refers to that suffering that each of us go through as the crucifixion. Okay, so the crucifixion, when it comes to the Course in Miracles, is that thing that we're going through that's creating suffering, that's creating some kind of doubt or darkness or despair. And so we're not supposed to deny that. Hi, good to see you, everyone that's joining and talking in the chat. We don't deny that. We don't say, oh, that doesn't exist, or I'm going to pretend it's not happening. That doesn't solve the problem. But what we learn about in the Course in Miracles is the resurrection, which is basically we don't join in the crucifixion. We don't join in having faith in that suffering. We acknowledge that the suffering is there. We don't look away, but then we put our faith instead of what could happen that could scare us or that could cause issues. But instead, we put our faith in that higher power of love. I was listening to a talk that Marianne Williamson had done. A while back, and she was talking about how, we're so easy to put our faith in what's going wrong, put our faith in all of the fear. But, when it comes to the dark energies or the dark forces, it's actually only happening in the third dimension. So it's real, but not true. So when we start to deny the power of that darkness, deny the power of that fear thought, deny the power of whatever force seems to be coming up against us, and instead we affirm and we have conviction in the power of love and the power of Christ consciousness to overcome that situation, then we start to open our mind, our human mind, into the mind of God, and we receive breakthroughs. We receive downloads of solutions that would not have been possible. If you've ever heard that saying that you can't solve a problem in the same consciousness that it was created in, that's a perfect example of how when we're facing some type of struggle, whatever it is, we're all facing some type of struggle, we can't look at it from the space of fear, from the space of the ego mind. We have to open to the power of God consciousness through us to be aware of what the higher solution is. And that creates this trust of knowing that no matter what's happening, love will always prevail, love will always triumph, and we will always come through with some type of solution. So not only is this moon trine to Jupiter, but I didn't get a chance to write it down, but I have the article. So there's 3 other really powerful aspects. First, Mars is trine to Jupiter. So that means that our willpower, which is Mars, our action, is in harmony. It's perfectly harmonious right now with Jupiter, which is how we expand. So basically what that's telling us is that as we have these divine downloads, these divine breakthroughs of the moon that's trine to Jupiter, trine to Uranus, that Mars trine to Jupiter is allowing us then to take the actions that will give us the best possible outcome. Then we have Mars sextile to Saturn. So Jupiter is this planet that expands things, right? So when we want more of something in our life, it's a Jupiter thing. I want more love. I want more peace. I want more abundance. I want more rest, right? So think about what you want more of. You can even put it in the chat. What do you want more of? And then Saturn is sort of that opposing energy that kind of restricts, but it also gives us that discipline that we need to move forward. So what does this all mean? There's one more aspect that I want to share before we kind of put it all together, and that is, let's see, where is it? Oh yeah, Jupiter sextile Saturn. So it's like Mars is giving us this power of expansion, this power of discipline. And then, oh yeah, Highness is sharing, I want more love. Yay, I love that. So, and then Jupiter is sextile to Saturn. So when we think of sextiles, it's kind of like these planets are getting cozy, right? Like they're working together. Like there's this like complementary energy. So it's like we have this complementary energy of faith and optimism and expansion, but we also have this beautiful complement of discipline and right action and self-mastery. So all of this is putting together in this way of allowing us a way where there is no way, a new beautiful beginning. And so I was listening to a talk. Yay, self-love. I love that. We all could use more self-love for sure. So I was listening to a talk in the 7 Sacred Seals curriculum, which is by Richard Rudd, who is the creator of the Gene Keys. And he was talking about the law of attraction and basically how we need to be really mindful because oftentimes there are many teachers and schools of thought that say like, oh, just manifest a new car, or manifest a new home, or manifest whatever you want. And there's nothing inherently wrong with having desire. But what we need to be mindful of is when we're using our lower desires to bring in higher forces, because then it starts to get into the realm of black magic, which is when we want to create something, but it's not coming from unconditional love. When there's a desire that's not coming from unconditional love, ultimately it will create more suffering for ourselves and for others. So, you might be hearing talks about the 111 portal, and this is the time where we can manifest whatever we want. But I just encourage you to always use the caveat of, may this be in divine will. If it is in divine will for this to happen, or for me to create this, or for me to create that, it's kind of like saying that when we think of manifestation, there are often things that we think that we want. It's an ego desire, but we don't realize in our limited human perspective what that choice or that desire could actually create. That we think it'll bring us more happiness to have this, or we think it'll bring us more happiness to have that. But if we were to create that situation or materialize that situation, it might not turn out the way that we intended. So, what I encourage you to do in this new moon in Capricorn is to broaden the idea of what intention you're setting, and instead ask yourself, how can I contribute? Instead of asking, how can I receive? Ask, how can I contribute? Once you do that and you say, how can I contribute, by aligning with the highest timeline, the highest frequency of love, and the highest good of all, then you know that you are working with the white magic of unconditional love. And it doesn't mean that you can't call in miracles and beautiful blessings, because you will, but it will be a bonus. But rather than an ego-based desire where, yeah, maybe it feels good for a second and then you want something else because there's something deeper that needs to be addressed, you'll start to feel the fulfillment of bliss, of being of service. So when we think of Capricorn, it's this energy of the goat, right? It's like this goat that's climbing the mountain step by step, and it's like eyes on the prize. No matter what, it's moving forward. There's nothing that can stop this. And it's an earth energy, so it's grounded, it's practical, it's step by step, it's methodical. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what is our deepest desire, right? There's always that question of, what is my purpose, right? I mean, have you asked that? Or maybe you're not sure what your purpose is. And we all have a purpose, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's something specific, like, oh, I need to write this book, or I need to do that. Those are sort of ways that your purpose can unfold or express itself. But ultimately, we're all here in this purpose of bringing in love, bringing in Christ consciousness, bringing in peace. So we can do that in many ways. But when we do that from a place of joy, and from a place of humility, and from a place of compassion, forgiveness, grace. These are ways that we can kind of step in and get out of this like martyr thing of being a victim of life, and instead become a teacher, not necessarily teaching by sharing wisdom, but teaching by being an example of Christ consciousness expressing itself, a fractal of God consciousness expressing itself, being a polarity to the darkness. So what is your new moon intention? Feel free to share it in the chat below. Excuse me. And then today, I'm going to pull some cards, which I didn't even grab the cards. Hold on. I feel so unprepared today, but it's also dark moon, so I'm just being gracious to myself. Hold on just a moment. Okay. So I've got the cards, and if you guys are watching, feel free to share what your new moon intention is, and what you want to create. And we're going to pull some cards from my deck, the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck, which is available on my website at meganmermaid.com. Oh yeah, and if anybody else wants mermaid moon readings for this lunar cycle, the latest is today. So if you share it today, or if you purchase it today, you'll get it by tomorrow, and you can find that on my website. And I just really, I think it's such a cool offering, because ever since I started doing this a few months ago and kind of like following along and creating my own journey through every lunar cycle, it's just been really powerful and really interesting. So yeah, it's a fun way to start to sort of attune to these frequencies. Let's see. All right. So we're going to do a star spread and kind of just get some energy of this new moon. Let's see. Yeah. Love the comments that are coming through in the chat. Really beautiful wisdom from everyone. Thank you for sharing. Okay. I got this new coffee table, which I don't know if you guys can see it. It's like, you see how it's like two what do you call it? Like two steps, like, but anyway, what's really cool about it is it's a coffee table, but then you can like pull it open and it becomes a desk. So I'm like super excited about it, because now I have room for my laptop and I have room for my cards. So it's like a whole new experience. Also, I just had this couch that I got like a few months ago. The wood leg broke and I had to fix it. Oh my gosh, it's just when things like that happen and you realize like what it's like to not have a couch that works. It makes you like so grateful that you have things that are working. Like, I don't think we give ourselves enough gratitude for all of the things that we have that are really beautiful and really amazing, especially when so many people in the world are suffering and going without. Oh, how funny. Gratitude came up as I said that. All right. So the cards, first of all, I'm just going to go over the words, and then we're going to kind of dive deeper into the message. So the words for this new moon are, ready? Dun, 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 dun. Synchronicity, acceptance, joyful, approval, gratitude, and paradise. So we're going to dive into what all that means. First thing that we have is synchronicity. So I love this because, right, 111 is an angel number. It's all about new beginnings, but it's also a synchronicity, right? Whenever you see 111, it's a synchronicity. It's a sign. So I feel like this lunar cycle is kind of giving us signs. It's giving us like markers, clues is another word. Let's see. So anyway, the mermaid empowerment for synchronicity is every sign that I see brings more signs to me. So what does that mean? Basically, in this third dimensional realm that we are existing in, our spirit guides, our higher self, can communicate to us through signs, through messages, through synchronicities. And you can ask for those signs. Like, for example, if you want to know that you're on the right track, like, for example, I was watching this talk. I think her name is Sarah Hall. So you can find her on YouTube. She has some really good stuff, and she works with the angels. I started working with the angels when I first began my channeling work. And then I moved into the Ascended Masters, and I did a lot with the galactic realm, which you can find videos on that. And now I'm kind of working more with, of course, the mermaids, which is my main kind of consciousness that I work in. But yesterday I sort of had this download, like, I need to resource the angels more. Like, they're just waiting for us to call them in, right? I think it was Doreen Virtue before she renounced her work that said there's a lot of unemployed angels, which kind of means there's a lot of like really powerful, benevolent, higher energies here that are also working in our joint purpose of creating unity and peace and harmony on earth. And so because of the law of free will, they cannot support us unless we give them permission. So basically what happened is I had this like kind of knowing I should call on the angels more. And so I said, "Hey angels, like if you're with me, show me a sign." And then as I was driving to work today, I saw this car in front of me, and on the mirror, or I guess the back window of this car, was a huge angel, an angel sticker. And I was like, that's pretty clear. So when you start to work and ask for signs and synchronicities, it almost becomes humorous about like how many you can call in. And the more that you start to pay attention and the more you acknowledge them, the more that will come in and the more you'll see that. So it's sort of like a way of saying, hey, maybe that thing that you really want isn't quite here yet, but here's a sign that's saying you're on the right track. And that's really important sometimes to have that acknowledgement. So, the advice that we have for this new moon is acceptance. And the mermaid empowerment for acceptance is I accept what is and create from there. So, when we accept, it's kind of like as I was sharing about the Course in Miracles and the crucifixion and the resurrection and what those terms mean. And if you're more interested in that, I definitely encourage you to get to know that and read A Course in Miracles. I have an app on my phone that's really cool, and it has the workbook, and it has the regular text, and it has the teacher's manual. So there's all kinds of stuff about it. But the crucifixion, as I was sharing that previously in the transmission today, it's about not denying what's here, not denying the suffering, not denying the crucifixion, right? We see that it's happening. We see that there's so much that's happening on the planet that's creating suffering, right? I mean, since October 7th in Gaza, like I believe the number is up to almost 30,000 people have been killed, over 11,000 children. And it's horrible. It's horrible. It's awful. There's genocides that are happening all over the world, right? We don't deny that. And we don't deny the struggles that are happening in our personal lives, right? We're all overcoming something, right? But the acceptance is saying, I accept what is and create from there. We don't deny the reality of suffering, but we see it as our starting point, as that moment where grace and where visionary experiences, miracles, solutions can come through. So when we accept our current reality, we don't deny it, we don't look away, we say, okay, this is where I'm at right now. This is where I want to be. And then we can start to call in those synchronicities that are sort of helping us to walk across that bridge from what is to what could be. And then the challenge that we have is interesting, joyful. And so the mermaid empowerment for joyful is my joy heals the whole world. So that right there tells you that we can have compassion and not deny the suffering of others, but we also have to recognize that, pointing the finger, saying that certain groups or people or world leaders are to blame or any of that, that's not helping the solution. It's adding to the suffering. It's adding to the separation. It's adding to the illusion. It's adding to the fear. But when we're in that struggle, oftentimes it can feel very difficult to feel joy. And joy is a feeling that's not necessarily like happiness, right? Happiness is more fleeting, but we can be sad and still have joy. We can feel disappointed and still have joy. We can feel lost. We can feel scared. We can feel desperate. We can feel devastated and still have joy. So, what we need to figure out this month is what brings us joy and how we can call more of that in. And then we have to ask ourselves, where are we robbing ourselves of joy by not accepting what is? Where are we robbing ourselves of joy by going against the natural flow of things? So, when we think about the energy of Capricorn, it's this energy of working hard. But, oftentimes when we're in a space of lack or fear or scarcity, we might want to overwork. And I'm guilty of that myself, of kind of working so much that like I'm not thinking about things, or working out of a space of fear of not having enough. So think about that this month. Where are you robbing yourself of joy by overdoing things, or being in a space of non acceptance, or being in a space of fear? And so then we have this beautiful energy of gratitude, which is my word of 2024. So the mermaid empowerment for gratitude is I have an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude will always get you out of a lower vibration. The energy of appreciation, what we appreciate appreciates, right? So when we start to notice what's going well and we have so much gratitude for what we do have, right? Like I was talking about, I'm so grateful for this table. I'm so grateful for my couch that like I can actually sit on and it's not crooked anymore. I'm so grateful that I have water and food and I have this beautiful home and I have support and I have this platform that I can communicate with others, and I'm so grateful for all of the people in my life. And just start to think about all of the things that we are blessed with. Think about all of the ways that you've been blessed in the past. And oftentimes, when we get into a space of fear, we forget that every single situation that we've ever gone through, that we were ever concerned about, has always worked out. It always works out. So where are you robbing yourself of the joy of this present moment, of being in this present moment, because you're so afraid that it won't work out? Oh, I skipped a message, but everything always happens exactly. So the correct action is approval. The mermaid empowerment is I approve of myself completely. So this is where we have to kind of step into that energy of breakthroughs by not letting the world or our external circumstances dictate who we are anymore. I'll share, for example, something that's kind of really personal and really vulnerable for me is that I got a download about a month ago that I'm no longer going to dye my hair and I'm going on a gray journey, right? So it's going to be kind of awkward for maybe a year, maybe 2 years, but in a couple years, I'm going to be having this really beautiful silvery white, awesome hair. And it's kind of like rebellious to think about that, but it's also kind of scary to think like, wow, what will people think? And will they judge me? And will, like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much. So that's just one example of what we're going to be going through personally in our lives, where we have to just kind of stand in that space of our own truth, what works for us, what feels good for us, regardless of what other people think. And as a light worker or a starseed or whatever you want to call yourself, a teacher, a way shower, a healer, you've got to approve of yourself because you are bringing a unique fractal of God consciousness that's never been brought into this planet before. So if you're trying to copy somebody else's model or blueprint, you're robbing yourself not only of joy because you're trying to be something that's not actually you. You've got to approve of yourself and recognize that you have to bring in something brand new. And that's what this Uranian energy is all about. So then kind of the synthesis of everything that we have here is paradise. And so the mermaid empowerment for paradise is I create paradise with every thought that I think. So if I could give you one kind of action step or homework for this new moon and the rest of this lunar cycle is, start to just really think about what you're thinking, right? That sounds kind of funny. Think about what you're thinking. Notice what you're thinking. Observe what you're thinking and ask yourself, like, I could see this differently. Just kind of give that space. So when we start to connect our mind, or we connect the mental body with the mind of God, we start to kind of just get little glimpses, little kind of maybe whispers of something that could be a solution or an insight or an action step. And so just asking that question is kind of like we're just opening the door. So we could think of like the mental body in the third dimension, the collective mental body, as being clouded by all of these thoughts. So it's like there's this beautiful blue sky, right? The blue sky is always there. It's always blue. It's always bright. But our thoughts, our unproductive thoughts, are like clouds that are hiding that beautiful blue sky, that are hiding the truth of love, the truth of peace, that is the truth of our existence. And so when we start to begin to monitor and observe our thoughts and say things like, I could see this differently, I could see this situation differently, it's almost like one little cloud at a time begins to sort of drift away. And when we're doing this in our personal lives, we're also contributing to the collective mental body that is experiencing this confusion and this doubt and this separation. So really that's our purpose. It's our work is to do our personal self-development and our personal thought work so that our personal thought work, because all minds are connected, is contributing to the clarity and the ease of all beings. So another way that we could look at this is that the mental body is almost like this house that has all of these all of the lights are off. It's completely dark, right? So you walk into this dark room and maybe there's furniture and you hit your knee on a sofa or a table because you can't see it. And so it creates that fear, right? But when you turn on the light, you start to see things clearly. So every time we have affirmations or we have just beautiful sayings, it's almost like just turning on one light at a time or opening the door and allowing a little bit of light into that darkness. That's how thought work begins. It's every single thought one at a time. And we have plenty of work to do, a lifetime of work, because we have over 60,000 thoughts in a day. And most of those are unconscious. So we're not going to catch every negative thought and we're not expected to. But, that's why I created, or why the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck was created through me, rather. I want to keep it in a space of humility. I received this information. It's been brought through me from the mind of God, because these little mermaid empowerments are like little ways of one cloud being removed at a time from this mental confusion, one light at a time that's turning on in our mental body, that's giving permission, keys from the mind of God to kind of sink in to our mind, our human perception. So let's say all of these affirmations again. And then I have just a little meditation that we're going to do to kind of call in the energy of Capricorn and say some collective prayers. So everybody, I would say we're on mute, but we're not doing a Zoom call. But I just want everyone to say with me these affirmations. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I love that. Nana had a question. So that's a great question. You know what I'll do, Nana, is at the end, I'll leave some space for questions and answers. So I should be able to scroll back up to your question, but I don't think our chat is too busy that I'll miss it. But hold on to that question and I'll come back to it. So I'm going to say the affirmation and then we're just going to do a call and response. And you can all just speak these into the field. And that's going to create a little spaciousness, a little bit of opening for the mind of God to come in this lunar cycle and give you your personal breakthroughs, your personal insights, and show you how you can be of service, how you can contribute, rather than, being in this space of spiritual ego and saying, how can I receive this? Or how can I receive that? How can I manifest this? How can I manifest that? It's a very egoic perspective. And in order to really be in tune with our full power and full potential, we've got to be of service first and recognize that when we are of service, sorry, I'm getting a call. Mom, geez, don't you know I'm going live? But anyway, so when we are of service, all of our needs will be divinely supplied. And we start to see how resourceful we actually are. But it's a whole different ballgame to start saying, how can I be of service, rather than how can I get this or manifest this or call in this? And it doesn't mean that we can't have those things, but they're just a beautiful bonus. Let's see. Okay, so synchronicity. Every sign that I see brings more signs to me. Let's say it again. Every sign that I see brings more signs to me. Acceptance. I accept what is and create from there. I accept what is and create from there. Joyful. My joy heals the whole world. My joy heals the whole world. Approval. I approve of myself completely. I approve of myself completely. Gratitude. I have an attitude of gratitude. I have an attitude of gratitude. Paradise. I create paradise with every thought that I think. I create paradise with every thought that I think. Beautiful. So we're going to move into the guided meditation. And I just want to give kind of a gentle reminder for those of us that are in the chat that we're not here to tell each other what to do. We're here to witness each other, right? And so that goes back into our spiritual ego of thinking that we're here where we need to fix people. So I just want everyone to be in a space of honoring and witnessing and acknowledging that this is a very safe community and we are not here to tell others what to do, how to think. We are not here to give other people solutions. We are all here in our sovereignty to witness our beautiful journeys and all of the information that is coming through. So I do have to share just a little reminder that if I see that kind of behavior in the chat, it's not something that will be able to continue. And I will have to, remove those people or remove those comments because I want everyone to feel safe. All right. So now that we have that and remember our powerful sovereignty, let's just take a moment to become present in this space. And I want us to just take a deep inhale in, exhaling it out, taking another deep breath in, exhaling it out. Beautiful. And so we now consecrate this space for only the highest vibrations of love, truth, healing, and peace. And we choose to align with the highest frequency of love, the highest good of all, and the highest timeline for all. And I want us all to just take a moment to be open, opening our hearts and feeling that energy of love, that energy of Christ consciousness within us that we are all carriers of, that beautiful, powerful, unconditional love. And now begin to imagine that this beautiful white light directly from source consciousness begins to descend like a dove of peace. And it flows through your crown chakra, your third eye, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, your root chakra, all the way down to your feet. And this beautiful energy of grace, which is this beautiful energy of purity, of God consciousness that clears away the separation, that clears away the suffering, that clears away the doubts, that clears away the worries, that it's all beautifully coming into this space. Feel that energy of grace. This is the energy that we first receive and then become embodied energies, pillars of light, pillars of grace upon this planet. Okay, and then imagine that this beautiful energy of grace, this beautiful white light of God consciousness is beginning to surround you in this blanket of light, this bubble of white light. And you may wish to call in any of your guides or angels that you work with. And just remember that we all come in the highest frequency of love, truth, healing, and peace. So I want you to take a moment in this space of intention, in this space of the energy of Capricorn, which is about producing, about creating, about accomplishing goals. And I want you to be open to the powerful planetary energies that are here to support you in having a breakthrough, in overcoming inertia, overcoming the fear of getting started, overcoming the fear of what other people may think about you, overcoming the ways that you may rob yourself of the joy of following through on the desires of your heart, any fears of lack or scarcity. Just imagine that this beautiful energy of grace, of God's beautiful grace, is beginning to dissolve those fears, dissolve that separation, dissolve that illusion. Beginning to just reach down into your heart so that you may begin to transmute that suffering that you've experienced, transmute it all into just beautiful light and love. And now I want you to just allow one word to come through. 2024 is a year where we are stepping into an energy of simplicity. So rather than a complicated journey like I may have done in the past of going to some galactic realm, which is great, it's beautiful, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm really stepping into this energy and this vibration of simplicity. So the more that we kind of break things down into the simplest form, the easier it is to begin to materialize the vibration of that form. So just sit in this energy of grace and unconditional love that we are creating. And I want you to allow one word to begin to come into your consciousness. One word that will describe your intention for this month. Maybe it's one of the words that were shared in our message today. Maybe you want to intend for more synchronicities to show you that you're on the right path. Maybe you want to bring in more acceptance. Maybe you want to bring in more joy. Maybe you want to approve of yourself. We talked about self-love. Maybe self-love is a word that's your intention this month. Maybe it's gratitude. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's rest. But just allow yourself to just bring in that one word that is coming and downloading directly from your higher self, from God consciousness into your human form. And just allow that word to crystallize. Allow that word to begin to emerge from within your heart space. And in just a moment, we can share that word. But as we are in this space of grace, this space of community, this space of connection, this space of unity, this space of prayer, may we now ask that as this word is received, this intention, may we lift up this word to be of the highest good and the highest support of all beings, of all humans, of all animals, of all plant life, of the planet itself, of every single thing in this universe, which is all God, which is all connected. And we ask that if there are anything that we've been holding on to, maybe it's resentment or anger or anything that we have held on to from anyone in our lives, we just ask that the beauty of grace just dissolve that now. And even if we don't know how, we just ask that we have the willingness to release these energies that are keeping us stuck. And maybe it's things that you're holding on to about yourself. And we just ask that this beautiful grace just dissolve all of those energies, create the process of being willing. In the Course in Miracles, we learn that we can either have a miracle or a grievance. And a grievance is when we hold on to something that someone may have said or did that keeps us stuck. So we just ask that all grievances be dissolved and transmuted into the energy of grace. And now we ask that as we set this beautiful intention for this month, that this bring in the highest frequency of love, truth, healing, and peace to all beings. And we ask the question, how can I contribute this lunar cycle? How can I serve? How can I be of support to others? How can I offer more love? How can I offer more compassion? How can I offer more understanding? How can I offer more peace? How can I offer more patience? Just be open and remember that as you ask these questions through your intuition, through your own spiritual gifts, through your own experiences, these questions will begin to come alive within this lunar cycle through experiences that are self-created, that are self-actualized, to allow you to be and flow and in harmony with spirit. And so finally, we just lift up all beings on the planet that are suffering, that are experiencing any type of suffering, sadness, loss, loneliness, grief, pain, anguish, anything that is creating suffering on this planet. We ask that each and every being on this planet be filled with the same grace that we are calling into our lives. We ask that the grace of God just flow through this planet and begin to dissolve the darkness, dissolve the fear, dissolve the separation. We ask for this beautiful energy of the moon trine Uranus to bring breakthrough solutions and visionary downloads to overcome the seeming obstacles of this world. You know, the avatar Jesus said, "Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." And what that means, when we think of it in a metaphysical sense, is not that we will not go through struggle, but that we will overcome it through our joy, by being of good cheer and knowing that we don't have to deny the suffering, but we can deny its power over our lives. We can deny its victory and triumph over our lives. And so finally, we end by saying that may all beings be happy, may all beings be free, and may all beings be liberated from their darkness, from the darkness of this world, and may love prevail. And may we continue to evolve in the Christ consciousness that is now here on this planet, not as one person, not as one avatar, but as a powerful force of light that is moving as a community, beginning to transmute all of the darkness on this planet. And so just take a moment to begin to breathe, and just allow all of this beautiful light and love and downloads to begin to move through us. Wonderful. So I believe that we have time for one question. So I'm going to take another look at Nana's question. And again, feel free to write in the chat or in the comments what your word was. What is your word for this new moon in Capricorn? We would love to witness you and honor you. And so let's see. Nana's sharing, I'd like to find out why my current path feels wrong and illness keeps me from doing it. But I'm told by the angels that it's the right path. So confused. Let's all just take a moment to begin to first honor Nana's vulnerability and her honesty and her authenticity, because yeah, it's real. We are all going through something, and that's what the Course in Miracles talks about, our crucifixion. We're all experiencing our own personal suffering. And so Nana, I encourage you that it is okay to feel those feelings, to feel like you're wrong, to feel angry that you feel ill, to feel upset. Whatever needs to arise, be that space of allowing those feelings to be there. You know, it's okay to feel upset. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. And then what I encourage you to do is to just make the prayer. Show me how this situation is creating breakthroughs in my life. And so when you do that, it's basically like you're lifting up this situation that feels like it has no solution, that feels like it's holding you back. And you're saying, just like we talked about today, let me re-look at it so I make sure. There's another way of looking at this situation. So I encourage you to ask that today. Show me, higher self, God, whatever you want to say, another way of looking at this situation. Show me how to see this from the mind of God rather than my perception. Show me how this suffering is creating more joy in my life. Show me how this is propelling me. And what that does is it doesn't mean that you deny what you're in right now. Yes, you deny the reality. I feel uncomfortable. I feel lost. I feel angry that I have to go through this situation. I feel whatever it is, that acknowledge that, but then put that into the hands of that higher energy and say, show me how to look at this in a different way. Be willing to look at this in a different way. And then once you start to do that, you create this self-initiated journey of your own awakening where these situations will begin to reveal the higher purpose, the pearls of wisdom of your own self-mastery. Just like I shared, be of good cheer. I have overcome the world is what Jesus said. It doesn't mean that we won't go through the struggles and the illness and the loss, but there is a saying, he's saying there that we will overcome them. And so hold on to that triumph. Hold on and know that this is the middle of your journey. It's not the final report. And I'm sending you so many prayers of love. And for each and every being that's watching this and it's in the world right now, that whatever you're struggling with, that you will create miraculous solutions, and whatever seems to be for your harm will become for your good and will bless you more than you could ever thought possible. So I've got to get going because I have a client in just a few moments. But I just wish you all beautiful new moon blessings. And if you want to work with me, I offer galactic readings and moon readings and gene key sessions as well. And you can also purchase my deck, Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck, at my website, meganmermaid.com. So happy new moon, everyone. I wish you so much love, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. Thanks for being here with me.